Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and I am the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once again as the relentless voice of the vasectomites. And today, I wanted us to talk about something that I know every person, for many reasons, has experienced and has had this issue come up in their life. And this is the issue of regrets. But I wanted it, and this is not to imply that I don't have any regrets myself, the statement I'm about to make, but I wanted to approach the issue of regrets from a lack of regrets. Something that, quite frankly, that I feel when it comes to me and my vasectomy. But these regrets happen to manifest themselves in almost every species, I would imagine, even the animal kingdom. But very much so in the human species, and also it exists among vasectomites. Something that has interested me is the issue of regretting your vasectomy and then going as far in that regret as, to have that vasectomy reversed and do the vasectomy reversal. Of course, I and most vasectomites and vasectomists do not regret getting a vasectomy, but there is a small number of vasectomites and vasectomists who do. And they regret it so much, and to the point that they decide to return and go against their evolution. Their evolution into vasectomites, they de-evolve back into humanity after transcending, after rising, right? And there is a statistic to this. It's around, some say between 3 and 10%, some say between 6 and 10%. So I will go with around 6 or 7%. I don't really think it's as high as 10%. I think there are pockets of areas and pockets of age groups where it's that high. So there are situations and circumstances where vasectomy regret and vasectomy reversals are at that high, or at that high of a level, around about 10%. But I'm going to work with an average, right? I'm not going to use 6%. I think that might be a little bit too low based on these numbers. I would say about 6 or 7% of men decide to do this. Now, I have to be honest, in my own failures, as the Ancient One, as the Bachelor Supreme, as a proud vasectomite, that I've been quite dismissive about vasectomy reversals for various reasons that traditional reasons, I would even say, that have been true and I believe stand true when in themselves are being compared to a vasectomy. There are reasons and statistics that I have for not supporting a reversal, right? The first reason is that I suggest you freeze your sperm first so that you don't need to do a reversal. And perhaps I'll do a video on this next thing that I'm about to say, this next statement I'm about to make, is that the average man can push out around 100 million sperm per eruption, right? So, for me, who had plenty, it was around 120 million, right? So I could go in there 8 to 9 times and get to 1 billion. But really, you could go in there one time and have enough sperm frozen over to repopulate a major country all by yourself, so that you don't have to do a reversal should you choose to, for whatever your reasons, should you choose to have a child once more, right? I don't recommend it. It's not what we're doing here. But if you freeze your sperm, then you don't need to do a reversal, right? So we've already taken care of that. The issue of regret in our philosophy. But there are other reasons. The one is that the cost of reversals is tremendously high, especially when compared to the cost of a vasectomy, which is 1,550 US dollars, or 1,600 if you freeze your sperm, right? But if you just go for the vasectomy, it's 1,550. Not only that, your medical insurance will pay for this. So they'll pay for the urologist, they'll pay for the treatment, they'll pay for the room, they'll pay for all of that, right? In comparison, the cost of a reversal is much, much higher, right? Secondly, the chances of it working or being successful traditionally stands around 10% itself. So you find that 10% of men in high pockets will regret getting a vasectomy, and it'll only work 10% of the time. These are the reasons why I'm against a vasectomy reversal, right? And then there includes the difficulty of it, whereas a vasectomy itself is a fairly simple procedure to do, a low cost, simple but very effective and worthwhile procedure to do. A reversal in comparison is going to be much, much more difficult, much more expensive, and unlikely to succeed, or small chances of succeeding. At least this was the traditional view. And to my own admittance, this is a very ignorant, naive, and stubborn view to take. And it's false of me to take this position in terms of a fixed position, right? Because the technology that made a vasectomy easy, simple, affordable, and effective for us can simultaneously be used, at least in part, for a reversal. And if they could make vasectomies based on the history of the vasectomy and where we really came from, if they could make these vasectomies as efficient and effective as they have, there's no reason why there cannot be improvements and advances in vasectomy reversals, at least in terms of technique, technology, at least in terms of methodology, in terms of the research, the science, the study. There is an area of this that is going to improve so effectively that that number can go very easily from 10% to 50% success rate. And at 50% success rate, you know, you're as good as any person. You're as good as any person. Your chances are as good as if you had never gotten the vasectomy to begin with. So I think it's something that is worthy of not just looking into, at least in terms of the reason why, but also to keep an eye out on how well this technology is advancing and improving, and if it is at all. So let us now find out who these vasectomites or former vasectomites are. But more importantly, we want to know what motivated them to return and ultimately to bend that knee. Right. Let me openly say, I I did anticipate within myself a certain level of regret before I got my own vasectomy. I wanted, it was a sort of an instinctive response where I wondered to myself, well, what if I changed my mind? I knew I wasn't, but I wondered, what if I changed my mind? And then it wasn't just that I wanted it. I knew that if I was thinking about it, somebody else would too. If I had, as quickly as I had decided to get a vasectomy, it was just as quickly I wondered if I would regret it. And I thereby came to the solution of, why don't I just freeze my sperm first? And I could freeze as many sperm as I want, and then get that vasectomy. And then that dissuaded my own, you know, hesitance, right, is the word that I'm looking for. And it gave me the confidence to proceed. It gave me the confidence to proceed with freezing my sperm and then getting a vasectomy. But I wanted to be more than sure. So, and I wanted it to be exemplary to an extreme degree. So I went ahead and did 1 billion sperm to just indicate just how absurdly simple this is to achieve, and how you can achieve a great degree of certainty with such minimal effort. And you can freeze 1 billion sperm if you choose. You could freeze 10 billion if you really wanted to. So I acted with confidence because I had peace of mind. And this is what I think this philosophy is going to give you. I think it's going to give you peace of mind to freeze your sperm and then get your vasectomy. Most of the other vasectomites are men who had previously bent the knee and then they unbended that knee. So these are men who were either married and then had kids, of course, and then got divorced and then decided to then get the vasectomy. So they came out of legal matrimony and the dark dimension. And rather than returning to the romance wars, at least returning unprotected, they elevated. They rose above, they evolved to being, quite frankly, I would say, some of the best bachelors and true, loyal, and unwavering vasectomites. So, so they definitely don't want any more kids, right? So one of the reasons that they give to men to get a vasectomy is the reason that you already have kids and you don't want to have any more. Another reason, of course, is to relieve your partner, your counterpart, from the, I would say, burden of having to take contraception or deal with female contraception. Now, I only use the word burden because they use the word relief. So, what is it exactly that you are being relieved from? You cannot be relieved from something that you enjoy. You can only be relieved from a burden. So, not only do these men who, some, like I said, were divorced, some were not married and had kids, right? And then they decided they didn't want that anymore. Some may have been stepfathers, right? So these are men who have children in their lives, right? And then those men who come out of the dark dimension, not only do they make the best bachelors and the best vasectomites, they also possess a tremendous amount of wisdom from the inside. And they tell the best stories for the most part. They really tell some of the most amazing stories. You see, I have insight in terms of observation, but they can give you insight in terms of true experience. So now they know what it felt like, not just to see it, but to feel it, you know so here we have those of us who froze their sperm and then got a vasectomy. Then you get the men who've had children in their lives for various reasons, under various circumstances and various degrees, from actually married to just being stepfathers and so forth. So this leaves now our third group, which is a very small group, and I think this is where that 10% is. These are the men that got a vasectomy, but they didn't have they don't have any children, right? So they were not involved in any children in their lives, and they didn't freeze their sperm first. So these guys really removed all of their options except one. They removed every option and only left themselves with a reversal, right? And I believe that the regret that they experience, the regret that they feel, comes from having eliminated all of their options. So you got a vasectomy because you didn't want kids or you didn't want to have kids accidentally. You do realize that it is an option to reverse it. We all have that option. But the there is another option, and that is to freeze your sperm first so you don't have to do that reversal, right? The lack of option that these men are frustrated with is just a perception. It is the perception of a lack of options. But the truth is that you actually do have choices, right? You do have options. And the reversal in itself is an option. And that alone should give you peace of mind, whether or not you have kids and whether or not you froze your sperm. Just think about that. The fact that you can do a permanent contraception and then have it reversed doesn't really indicate permanence, right? It's permanent until you decide that it's not permanent anymore, and then it becomes a genuine and real option. Even I, who doesn't support reversals, can understand that I still have a reversal as an option. Not only that, the more I'm going to look into the technology and the progress that's been done into reversals, I'm absolutely certain that if we look at the highest facilities, the best urologist, with the best tools, best training, best experience, and so forth, and they do exist at a fair price, by the way. For their skill, what you're paying a fair price. They do exist, and these people can work miracles. They can really get the job done, all things being equal. And not only that, they're getting better at it. The technology is improving, the knowledge, the science, the study, the tools, right? The expertise, they're all improving, and eventually they're going to get it right. And even I know that I still have the option of utilizing their skills and their services. But I have to ask myself, right? Let's say you do this reversal. Let's say you go ahead and you do this reversal and it succeeds, right? And then you heal and everything works, and it's just like no difference, right? Because sometimes they can do it and you don't actually see or feel a difference. Let's say it's successful, right? What happens after that? What happens what happens after you have kids? So you decide you want to have that kid, you want to, you whatever the circumstances are, and then you do it, and then you have that kid. Then what? Because you're still gonna, you're gonna raise that kid. Fine, so you have your kid. There's the little ancient one running around with his hunchback too. Fine, fantastic. Then what? Then what about your reproduction moving forward? Right? You're not likely to go back and get another vasectomy. So you're not likely to get a vasectomy and then get the reversal, have the kid, and then go back and get another reversal. You are now back in the same situation that you were when you started. And what you're going to realize is that the reasons that you had the vasectomy to begin with are still there, and those concerns still exist. What I anticipate is a deeper level of regret. So, so by the way, the word regret means to feel sad, repentant, you want to take it back, or disappointed over something that one has done or failed to do. Sad, repentant, and disappointment over something that you have done or failed to do. And this is what I foresee from people who do reversals or people who get a vasectomy, either who don't have kids and get a vasectomy, have no kids in their lives and get a vasectomy, or who men who don't freeze their sperm first and then get a vasectomy. I foresee a tremendous regret for the reason that you're gonna get the vasectomy, you're gonna get the reversal, especially for the ones who get the reversals. And then what's gonna happen is you're gonna have that child, maybe a second one, but maybe you don't want a third one, and then you have one. Or you have twins. Maybe your idea was to have one kid, and then I don't know what you were thinking. Because if you have one kid and you continue to be intimate again, you're probably gonna have another one. And the more partners you have, the likelier the chances are that you get a counterpart inseminated and pregnant. A reversal, while it's a legitimate option, it's a contradiction, right? It's a contradiction because I think you're gonna regret having the reversal. You're gonna regret having. So first, you regret having the vasectomy. Then you're gonna reverse the vasectomy and then not get another vasectomy, and you're gonna regret not being able to get another vasectomy after you've had a vasectomy. This is what I foresee. This is really what I foresee, right? This contradiction that I'm talking about defies the purpose of getting a vasectomy. That's why I froze the sperm first, so I wouldn't be forced to make this ridiculous decision. Right? So even if they improve it, what you're doing is you're moving from one decision, one extreme decision to another extreme, to another extreme, to another extreme. You're undecided, and inevitably you're going to get this decision wrong. For me, a reversal is the worst choice out of several choices. I mean, the first choice, of course, is to freeze your sperm. In terms of male reproduction, I'm talking about. This is really what the issue is about, reproductive rights. The first best option I think you have is to freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy, right? Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. That way you have all your options, your reproductive options, and you hold all the cards, right? After that, I suggest it's for men who've already had kids. Those guys who learned their lesson, who went through the dark dimension and know what it's really about. And you don't want to do that again. And you don't want to continue down what is, quite frankly, a bad cycle. So you're going to stop that. Right? Reversals, on the other hand, they put you back in the dark dimension. This is my problem. So you have the reversal, and then now you're back in the dark dimension. And then look at the men who have already had kids. This is why for me a reversal is just a bad idea. You know, I think having a vasectomy, or rather getting somebody pregnant after having a vasectomy, is probably one of the worst things that can happen to you. It's one thing to regret it and have the reversal, but it's another to get the vasectomy and still have one in the chamber while you think you got the all clear. You need to get that all clear from the doctor. I cannot imagine that feeling, having had the vasectomy, having done it right. I mean, I might be relieved that it won't happen again, but if I was able to avoid having children without a vasectomy, years and years with no kids before a vasectomy, and then as soon as I get a vasectomy, I get somebody inseminated and pregnant. That would just be a terrible irony. I don't think I could handle this situation, to be honest with you. That's why I suggest the two-step solution to a one-life man. A two-step solution to a one-life man. Freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. It's still the best way of having all your reproductive options open to you while you have all the contraceptive concerns alleviated. It's what the Grandmaster describes as, he says, as Sun Tzu says, on the one hand, we have the ability to protect ourselves, but on the other hand, we have a victory that is complete. So, so let us now, while you meditate on these words, so let's look at some of the reasons why men give to get a vasectomy reversal. Do you regret your vasectomy is the title of today's article. The entire platform where I got this from accredits Dr. Yanev Larish, and it is vasectomy. The platform's name is Vasectomy Reversal NYC, and their website is vasectomy reversal-nyc.com. And of course, that is the link to the article there. I realize now that upon looking at it, some of the words seem to be disconnected and disjointed. I think that is part of the, the slide that I'm putting up. But on the original document, I assure you, they are all connected, right? So nothing is as disjointed or separated. The words don't have spaces right in between them, inexplicably. Also, there is an ellipsis in the three stars that you see right under the link to the website. I beg your pardon, the link to the article itself directly. This is an indication of missing information. So, what the article does is it starts by explaining what a vasectomy is and what the benefits of a vasectomy really are. It's very short and concise, but I didn't think it would be helpful for or beneficial to today's article. I think if we were discussing the benefits of a vasectomy all by themselves, that would be helpful. But what we're looking for today is the reasons why men sometimes regret getting their vasectomy. And it says here, after undergoing a vasectomy, men may regret their decision. This can happen for numerous reasons. Here is the main reason why you may want to reverse your vasectomy. I cannot wait to find out all these reasons. I'm pretty sure they're all going to be superficial and, of course, related to a counterpart. We have to keep in mind this, by the way, that the purpose of a vasectomy is to avoid having children. That's it, right? If you don't want to have kids, that's why you get a vasectomy. So, the other things that they talk about are benefits, right? So what do you gain? What do you lose? What changes, right? It benefits and effects of a vasectomy, but the purpose, the reason behind it is to avoid having children. So if you have a reversal, the primary reason behind it must be because you want to have children the traditional way, and it cannot be one child, because once you're back, you're back. So you can keep having kids and keep having kids, and that'll be till the day you die. You're gonna miss that vasectomy. I promise you, you are going to miss that vasectomy. Reason number one is a change of mind. Having a vasectomy, you or your spouse may have second thoughts about having a child. Going through vasectomy is a huge decision, so it's better to consider all the complications before undergoing surgery. In the event that you have already opted for a vasectomy, you need to consider vasectomy reversal to regain your fertility. I beg your pardon. Yes, this is of course in the absence of freezing your sperm and getting vasectomy. If you have sperm frozen already, then a reversal is not necessary unless you want to have children the traditional way. Unless you want to have children through, intercourse. And intimacy is the word that I'm looking for, right? If you want to have children through intimacy, then of course that's what you're going to do, right? And this is, of course, but again, why? I get it. You change your mind. If you haven't frozen your sperm, this is your only option, right? If you haven't frozen your sperm, this is your only option. So I get it. I know myself that there are just two options. It's either the reversal for vasectomites. It's either you've frozen your sperm and you use that, or and so you can either do that or you can do both. You can have frozen sperm, and I mean all options are open. You can have frozen sperm, and you can go ahead and have a reversal. Right. I mean, people can do whatever they want to do. If we have to be quite honest, right? People can do both, or they can do all the options. Number two, a new partner, a new counterpart, absolutely a counterpart. One thing that I considered when freezing sperm, and it was something that I hesitated about discussing. My initial plan was to just talk about the vasectomy by itself and not really talk about the tools and ideas that could effectively undo a vasectomy, because I knew the counterpart would find a way to exploit an unsuspecting vasectomite. And I can assume that some of these in the 6 to 10%, 7 to 10% range of vasectomites that we are losing, I mean, we're already at like what, less than 1% of the general population. So to lose 10% of the vasectomites is a tremendous loss for such a small group of people. And I'm certain that the counterpart will find a way to exploit these in order to get you to bend the knee. So if they are aware of reversals, they may encourage you to get a reversal. If they are aware that you have sperm frozen, a billion sperm, they may encourage you to unthaw that sperm and use it on them, right? So if they know these things exist, they'll do that. But if you just have, this is why you gotta keep your vasectomy a secret, because they'll exploit this. And so I thought for a moment, if they only knew about the vasectomy, then really they cannot attack us. But then it's at the risk of having information that I know vasectomites could use, and having information that I know could help a vasectomite foresee potential dangers and potential pitfalls, is does the risk of being informative also come with the risk of letting the other side know the information, the strategies, the secrets that they can use to exploit us. So, on the one hand, we have to get the message out there, but on the other hand, you want to keep the message a secret. This is a contradiction and an irony. You might not think this through, but suppose you are with a new partner who wants to have a child. When you are with a partner who does not want to get inseminated, you should know that it's possible that things do not stay the same between you and her. So it's really a fear of being left. So on the one hand, you meet a new partner, you want to keep them. They want to have a child, you want to give them something that they want. You haven't frozen any sperm, so now you have to get a reversal. And now, you're in it, right? On the other hand, being a vasectomite is really about knowing and accepting that people are going to be temporary in your life. There's, I suppose I have to speak in terms of pre and post vasectomy, right? So pre vasectomy, there is a desire for a certain type of permanence, and there's a frustration in losing that permanence, because you do have a biological connection to people, and to make that biological connection successful, you require a certain degree, a certain level of permanence. And if you don't desire that permanence, it will be imposed on you through legal obligation, child support, and whatnot. So, but once you get that vasectomy, you accept the temporary nature of people, of relationships, of this world. Think of it like this: if you visit the same place, the same restaurant, every single day at the exact same time, at the exact 1 o'clock every single day, there you are. You order the exact same thing. There are going to be different people there every single time. Some people might be the same, and those people are probably employees. But in terms of customers, it is very, very rare that you meet the same customers in the same shop again and again and again every single day. So there might be people who have a reason to go there every day. So maybe they work in and around the building. This is where they eat, this is where they do their shopping, and so on and so forth. But as you keep going there, what you'll find is even those people become less frequent, less permanent, right? People move around. People move around. They come and they go. Even repeat customers won't come in at the same time, at the same place, at the same rate, right? They may like this branch of your shop, and another day prefer another branch. And you really get to accept the impermanent nature of people. And changing partners can be part of that impermanence. Just accepting that you're really not going to be in a lifelong relationship until elimination do you part. Number three, non-evasive. Now, this is something that interested me. Just like a vasectomy, reversal is a non-evasive procedure. I beg your pardon. You will be awake the whole time, and the specialist will inject an anesthesia into your nether regions for numbness. The surgery is simple, and the doctor will perform it in their office. In rare cases, the doctor may perform the surgery in an operation theater. This is something that concerned me personally. I believe that the technology for reversals is going to improve so greatly that there may be some men, in fact, now, I don't know about this, but there may be some men who get a vasectomy, undo the vasectomy, reverse it, freeze their sperm, and then get the vasectomy again. That may very well be possible. It's a hell of a long time to be doing that, and I don't know how possible that is or how willing a urologist is. But I can, from a social point of view, theorize. Right now, my urologist indicated that this was not a feasible thing to do. Right. But as the technology improves, the tools improve, the methods improve, the knowledge, the science, the information, the skills, surely it will open up the path to more possibilities and more options. So understanding that reversals, and really I think I should take some serious interest in two areas of male contraception. One would be the reversal, and the other is the male birth control pills. I know I've been very dismissive about those things, but that's only because I wanted to emphasize how much behind my own philosophy I'm willing to stand, that I would happily forego other philosophies. But really, it's these are still real options for men, and there is a sizable number of men. If we are at 10%, that's a sizable number of vasectomites that are taking these options. And the people that are going to give them to you, they're going to get better at these things, right? So these are going to be real options if they aren't already. It says here next that a reversal is a simple procedure, right? Vasectomy reversals is a simple and straightforward procedure. During the surgery, the urologist will locate both the ends of vas deferens and stitch them together. This opens the blockage, and you regain your fertility. This sounds quite simple. It sounds just as simple as cutting, sealing, covering and cauterizing, right? And then stitching up. It sounds just as simple, and I cannot imagine why they wouldn't simplify it, right? And make it better and make the options open to all of us, right? But this really couldn't sound any simpler, right, and easier to do to a skilled professional. So it does stand to reason to me, that a reversal would be an option to somebody who wanted it. And knowing that it's getting better and simpler, some men might have it who desire it. Family name, of course, it always comes down to family, doesn't it? It's all about the kids, right? And so you may be looking to pass down your name, to extend your lineage, and so forth. So, one way that people have done this traditionally would be to pass on their genes in a living, tangible way. So while having your DNA matter stored away in terms of sperm, which has life potential, it's not really living. It's not really having the human experience. And some people may desire to provide that human experience, or at least to provide the guidance through that human experience to another individual of their likeness and family, through children, is that way. It says when opting for a vasectomy, you might not realize how important it is to carry on your lineage. However, you might recognize the need to have a child afterwards. This happens when you think you won't start a family, but as time passes on, you may meet someone to spend the rest of you may meet someone to spend the rest of your life with. That is when you need to undergo surgery. So, yes, exactly. It all comes down to having children ultimately. Whatever your circumstances are, I'm really not going to try and pretend to understand what circumstances somebody wants to have a child in. I could not understand the inclination or the instinct, but many of you do. So, whatever your reasons are, and whatever your logic is in terms of having genes passed down from one generation to another generation through you, but you've already had a vasectomy, you're gonna need to have that reversed. I don't think it's a good idea. I really think you're gonna regret that. I think that once you've crossed over, and something that I wanted to do was really discuss the psychology of a vasectomy, it really changes you in a fundamental way. And I don't think you can just turn that off. Once you turn that switch on and you know what it's like, you can't forget that. You can't unremember what you used to do or who you really were as a vasectomite. That peace of mind, that knowing that you cannot get somebody inseminated the traditional way, knowing that you're with a person because you genuinely like them, whether they like you or not, that's something that really you cannot control. But just knowing that you're with a person that because you genuinely like them, and that's it. And that's really it. You're attracted to them, and that attraction is strong enough to bring you to that person's, or at least within that person's personal space. That's sufficient for a vasectomy. You can't turn that off. You can't suddenly forget what it was like to be worry free in terms of reproduction. Not worrying about having kids, not worrying if really does she like me for me, or is she just looking for whatever. I don't know what people are looking for in relationships. I know that whatever I thought I was going to find in a relationship, I didn't find not one single thing of that nature, right? So, but if you are this person, sure, you're gonna wanna have that reversal. That's a bad idea. That's really a bad idea. But to each his own. To each his own. You know, and again, we have to wonder: can you reverse a vasectomy reversal? That's something that I really am curious about, and I'm not curious in terms of like I want to guess about it. No, no, no. I really want to know what that would mean in terms of real options, right? And if so, how many times? How many times can this be? How many times can you keep going down there and having this process done until it's no longer feasible for you? Other reasons for vasectomy reversal. It says here are some other reasons you may want to go vasectomy, to undergo a vasectomy reversal. Number one, you want to have a child after separating from your previous partner. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. So you have a counterpart. You didn't have kids with this partner. And then you go to another counterpart. And then now you want to have kids after having failed with the previous counterpart. I really don't understand that. I really cannot understand. Okay, maybe as a vasectomy, but now why reverse the vasectomy? Right? So you go into a relationship, and this is really for me what was a solution to a lot of problems. I'm in relationships with people that while I like them, it's not just about liking them. It's about also believing that we have a certain level of compatibility. I'm talking now pre-vasectomy. We have a certain level of compatibility together. We can work together, we can plan together, we can travel together, we can live together, and perhaps this might be an indication that we can build a family together. Some people would even go as far as to see if they're compatible in terms of doing business together, right? But ultimately, if even those relationships fail, even the best marriages fail. So, so why go reverse your vasectomy? This relationship, you just came from a failed relationship. You're going into another relationship, which the chances are it's going to fail. But this is the point where you decide that you want to undo your vasectomy. And then what happens when it fails? Right? And don't say it won't fail, because it says here you want to have a child after separating from your previous partner. So you've already had a child. So you've already had a failed relationship. And now you're in another one and you're saying this one won't fail. This is a triumph of optimism over experience and logic. This is optimism taking over your mind, telling you that you can do things that, quite frankly, you've proven unable to do. Think about that. You failed in a relationship, but you believe the next one is going to be successful. How much sense does that make? Number two, your parents want you to have a child in the future. This is like family pressure, peer pressure, that kind of thing, right? And I really don't get that. I don't get why a person who suffered through the dark dimension, through legal matrimony, the dark dimension, and some men are still in the dark dimension, decades. Some men remain decades. The ones who get divorced are liberated and free, but there are those who remain in the dark dimension for decades. And then they want other people to join them in the dark dimension in legal matrimony. And I don't think that's fair. I really don't think that's fair. I think these are the worst people, because they'll highlight those rare special moments, birthdays, things like religious holidays, special holidays, graduations. Consider that your child is going to graduate like once, maybe twice in their life. And you're going to wait your entire life for that one moment where they walk across the stage. Sure, you might say it's worth it. But in truth, is it really? Is it really worth it? 18 years for one moment. That's a tremendous amount of suffering. And then what you do is you induce your children to participate in the same thing, that in the same suffering that you did. And you call it happiness, you call it joy. This to me is really, really the problem that I have with knee benders, especially parents that want to induce their own kids to be parents. And then they go ahead and then mock their kids for suffering. You ever seen these videos of the parents mimicking the child's behavior now that the child is an adult in the same situation that they were in? And it's like, so you knew this was a bad situation, but you allowed your child to go into that situation just so that you could pay revenge on them on social media. I mean, it's sickening. It's sickening what parents do to their kids, you know. Somebody really needs to look into the kind of things that parents do to their kids. Number three, you have enough resources and stable enough life to start a family. Again, I mean, why? So this is really the old online philosophy. This is where I disagree with many online philosophies. Number one, they say go get your money up. Yes, I agree with that. But I'll tell you why I disagree also. Number two, they say go to the gym, build your muscles, lose some weight, lose the belly fat, lose the double chin, right? Which I agree with. Number three, you gotta get your mental health right. You gotta get your education. You gotta get your mind right. You gotta be thinking in the right way, have the right routine, have the right system. Then they all say to you, go get a counterpart. There's not one single person, online philosopher, who doesn't end their message with go and get a counterpart. And what they'll do is they'll tell you this after a breakup. They'll say, well, now that you've broken up, you gotta go to the gym, you gotta get your money, you gotta get your mental health and your mind right, and then go back and get a counterpart. They left out the final step, the final two steps in this 5-step solution. Step one, go to the gym. Step two, get your money up. Step three, get your mental health right. And step number 4 and 5 should be done together. Freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. And then go back and get yourself a counterpart. And I assure you, you will be playing under completely different circumstances. Because on the one hand, you have the ability to protect yourself. You got the vasectomy. You got your sperm frozen in a deep, dark vault in the center of the earth where no one will ever find it. And then you threw away the key and didn't even memorize the password so that not even you can access it. This is a fully defense system. Fully effective, fully enforced, solid, impenetrable defense system that only you can unlock, and even then under special circumstances. This is defense. This is what you have on the one hand. On the other hand, you have your offensive tools. You got a good mentality. So you're confident, you're sharp, you're smart, you're witty, you're funny, you're charming. You're the kind of person who can socialize. You got peace of mind. On the other hand, you look great, you're fit, you're healthy, your back is straight. Even if you're older, you know, Your beard is starting to gray because you're in great shape, you're healthy. They call it salt and pepper, right? Instead of old man look, right? You've been because your body's in good shape. Your skin isn't all wrinkled in funny ways, right? Now you look good, so you can go attractive people. Attract people. So not only do you look good, you feel good, and that is attractive to people. So these are your offensive tools, and then you got the money to date, right? This is the trifecta. These are all the offensive tools. You're charming, you're funny, your mental health is right, you got money, you look good. These are your offensive tools, but you also have defense. So on the one hand, you have the ability to defend yourself, and on the other hand, the ability to attack. This is a victory that is complete. This is a victory that is complete. Why, therefore, would you take this tremendous advantage and blow it so completely in an irreversible way? I suppose, right? I mean, if it's reversible, that's something else. If you can reverse a reversal and get the vasectomy, that's something completely different. But let's assume that it's not. Why would you risk that? Why would you risk your stable life to engage with an unstable counterpart and ruin that? Because if you go into that relationship with none of those protective mechanisms that I'm describing, the money that you make, all gone. Those gains that you made in the gym, all gone. I promise you, those gains are completely gone. You're going to be eating out in restaurants all the time. And then you're going to be frustrated because you're going to be working hard, doing that overtime, extra time every time, but you're not going to be getting any money. Your savings are going to dry up. You won't be increasing your savings, which is really your priority with money. And your expenses are going to be through the roof. So there goes your mental health. You're just going to blow everything by not getting a vasectomy. Or by getting a vasectomy, you didn't freeze your sperm, you got your vasectomy. And then you undo. So, you got your vasectomy, but you have no frozen sperm. Then you build this tremendous life for yourself, the life of a vasectomite, only to just undo the whole thing by inviting a counterpart and then raising a fledgling. And you do this all to yourself. This doesn't make any sense to me. But to some people, it may very well make sense to them, right? And for those who do, I think you're going to regret it. I really think you're going to regret your regret, right? I think like everybody who makes this kind of decision is bound to at some point wonder to themselves, what if? But knowing that you have the reversal should remove the wonder. It should remove. It's really, I suppose it's one step removed from freezing your sperm, or rather, it's one giant leap from removing your sperm in terms of reproductive options. But you can still redo it. You don't, just what I'm trying to say is being able to do something and then doing something are not exactly the same thing. So there are people who can do tremendous things, but they don't do those things because those things have catastrophic results, right? So being able to do something and then not doing that thing can have two completely different results. And I think that being able to get a vasectomy reversal should be contrasted with actually getting it, because getting it, it's gonna be so bad. it's gonna be so, so bad getting that reversal. It's gonna be terrible. And you're gonna regret it. And I want you to know you've done it yourself, and I'm not gonna feel sorry for you. If you're a vasectomite and you decide to go back and rejoin humanity in their struggle, you deserve to struggle because you had evolved, you had achieved personal salvation, and you sacrificed it. You sacrificed yourself. And you cannot ask anyone to save you. Especially if vasectomy is like, if you can do it, like again, if you get a reversal and the doctor says, well, regardless of the reversal, we can actually do your vasectomy again. It's not a problem. The fact that now you have a fledgling to raise for 18 to 21 years and then you get a vasectomy still, that's just an indication of failure and regret. If you're able to get that vasectomy again and then you do, that's an indication that you have poor judgment. And number four, you experience pain in the nether regions after a vasectomy. Yes, so I suppose if there is a long lasting and enduring pain, the doctor can return and fix that problem, right? I cannot understand how having a pain in the nether regions can be fixed by reversing a vasectomy. I really don't have that type of insight where I can say, well, if you have this type of pain down there, get a vasectomy reversal, and it'll solve the problem. I can't imagine logically there being a type of situation where you have pains in your nether regions and and a vasectomy reversal is the solution to pain. Vasectomies, I suppose having a vasectomy after the procedure and so forth, there is recovery, and recovery does include a level of pain, but that goes away. And if there is a pain that is enduring after, say, 2 months, 3 months in, I would venture to guess that maybe it's something other than a vasectomy. And I cannot imagine how a vasectomy reversal could be a cure for any type of testicular pain. But again, I'm not a urologist, right? I'm just an enthusiast for the philosophy and the practice. So and also I have no interest in you know, interviewing a urologist. I'm not going to sit there with a urologist and have him and listen to him say things that I'm not going to be able to understand anyway. When I could just as well read those things for myself and not understand them all the same. So what's a vasectomy reversal? We are right at the bottom. We're going through vasectomy reversal. The surgeon will locate the vas deferens and connect the two. This will enable the sperm to mix with the semen. Vasectomy does not stop your sperm production, but it does disconnects the tube, so it does not reach the member when you shoot your rocket. On the other hand, I'm trying to use euphemisms. I'm trying to think on the spot, and I'm like, really, they just. This is the problem when you deal with a topic like this, like a vasectomy. You are going to be riddled with inappropriate words. When you deal with the issue of contraception and reproduction, it is nothing but foul language all over every single page. Just the and it's implied. In other places they say it blatantly, in other places it's implied, right? So I'm just going to be living on the edge of euphemisms and innuendo, perhaps metaphors from time to time. But I'm really not going to be out here discrediting myself with foul language, especially because part of the people that I'm trying to appeal to are going to be older professionals. And it's bad enough that they're dealing with a man called the master of the deceptive arts, and now you're gonna discredit yourself by speaking poorly, especially about women and children. It's I mean, like, I know I have absolute disdain for these counterparts, but I think there are some women who would happily disassociate themselves from the behaviors of counterparts, which is why I don't always say women, right? Because I'm not talking about everyone. And there are some women who don't like these counterparts neither. I'm talking about these counterparts, and I describe them perfectly. And there are women who say, man, listen, I don't fit this description. And if you don't, good for you. Good for you. Tell your boyfriend to get a vasectomy. Right? Tell your boyfriend to get a vasectomy. If you really say you care, then do the right thing. Do the right thing. Let's continue here before we lose track any further on where we are. On the other hand, a vasectomy reversal reverses a procedure. With a surgery, sperm will be part of the semen, increasing the chances of your partner getting inseminated. Well, that's really what it is, isn't it? It's a reversal. It's going back into humanity, into the Romance wars. That's what it means philosophically. What they describe here is a biological scientific process of an operation. But there's more to it. There's a psychological, there's an emotional side to this where you're not gonna be yourself anymore. I cannot imagine coming out here and saying that I'm the ancient and I'm the bachelor supreme. I'm going to give advice on how to live with a vasectomy, but I don't have a vasectomy anymore. It is such a part of my identity. And it becomes that way in a very short period of time. It becomes part of your daily strategy, your plans. Whatever concern it is, you just be like, I'll just use my vasectomy power. I'll just latch on to my solitude and pull this off. And then you take that away, you're back to tocophobia. You're back to worry and fear and concern and trepidation. Just worried all the time that something wrong is going to happen, because you can foresee so many different things going on in so many different levels that you cannot help but to worry. I mean, you're about to have kids. You should be worried, not just for yourself, but for your partner, and as well as for those kids, who, by the way, are going to be raised by you. Just think about your personality and character. Are you sure you want to be a father? Are you sure you want to reverse that vasectomy? I don't know about all that. Let's see the conclusion here. Consult an expert urologist if you regret your vasectomy. Yes, please. And I hope your urologist tells you to snap out of it, and brings you back into your senses. When you feel like you want to have a child after a vasectomy, seriously now, you must undergo vasectomy reversal to revive your infertility. If you want to undergo a vasectomy reversal in New York City, contact us. You can consult one of the best urologists in New York City, Dr. Yaniv Larish. That is Dr. Yaniv Larish. He will guide you through the procedure and complications of reversing your vasectomy. I like the way that they included complication, right? To make an appointment, contact us at 646-862-5500. That's 646-862-5500. No, I was not paid to give out that number or those details. I'm doing it because if you are in the area and you happen to come across this video, you will take this seriously. I'm not paid to discuss any of these people, and I'm inclined to give out all of their details. I'm really inclined to give out the phone number, the contact details, the email addresses, the physical addresses, at least the office details of these doctors, so that whoever happens to come across this information can really make contact, right? Can really make contact. Social media is a place where people come to make a living, and I respect that. This stuff can take a lot of work, and for somebody to want to do it for free, to volunteer to do it for free, to sustain and maintain themselves for free, it must be because either they have a bigger vision or they believe in a greater good. And I'd like to think I have both. So I'm not asking you to give me your money. I'm asking you to take your money and spend it on Dr. Yaniv Larish. I say give your money to Dr. Yaniv Larish, and you can contact Dr. Larish on 646-862-5500 if you are in the NYC area. And why do I suggest you call Dr. Larish? Because he can save your life. Or is it she? I'm going to assume it's he. Yes, it says he will guide you through, right? Because Dr. Larish can save your life, right? He can cure you from the fear of having kids, which is tocophobia, and he can help you protect your seed and your solitude. With the help of advanced and high tech tools, Dr. Larish will diagnose your condition and help you with the procedure. Now, of course, this entire video is about reversals. This entire discussion is about reversals. But if Dr. Larish can do a reversal, he can also do a vasectomy, right? So don't say, well, Ancient One, you just did a video about reversals and now you're sending us to a guy who does reversals. Hey, they do it, all these people. He does the vasectomy and the reversal. It's the same guy. It's the same guy doing, it's two different sides of the same coin. That's what we're talking about. Two different sides of the same coin. And if the doctor, the good doctor, Dr. Larish, if he can do a reversal, he can absolutely do a vasectomy. So yeah, you absolutely need to call him for help. But this is the end of the article and also the end of the video. I'm really wondering if there's like a real benefit to doing like a whole another monologue to the conclusion, and I've come to the assessment that there isn't really one. I think I get all and most of my thoughts out right at the beginning, so you don't have to sit through them right at the end. And it becomes quite repetitive, to be honest with you. And I'm a little bit tired also, right? Like, I have the stamina to keep going, but I don't think people are going to benefit to, in listening to a person who's tired say the same thing that just got them tired. So, I do want to just summarize what my thoughts and my assessments on this. I don't think that a reversal is a good idea, but it is a genuine and legitimate option, especially if you didn't freeze your sperm or you don't have kids. But once you get it, we have to find out for ourselves, can it be undone? Can you then go back to having a vasectomy if you don't want more kids? Because if that's not an option and you're back without the option of getting a vasectomy again, you could be having kids pretty much every year for the rest of your life in a realistic way. Especially if you are intimate with multiple people. And I don't know if that's worth the risk. I don't know if that's worth the risk mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. I think you're going to lose out on a lot in the long run and you're going to regret it. Of course, I won't be there to feel sorry for you. And if I find out about it, I'm going to say you did it to yourself. So my advice is to freeze your sperm first and then get the vasectomy. so that you don't have to deal with vasectomy regret. Because again, the purpose of a vasectomy is not having children. And if that's the issue, if you're concerned, oh, I cannot have children, it's a concern, I want to do a reversal. Freezing your sperm first means you can have children without doing a reversal. So if you do want to have children still, you can have those without doing a reversal. But if you then go ahead and do the reversal anyway, then I'm not even sure what to say about that. If you freeze your sperm and then do a reversal of a vasectomy, I don't even know what the logic in that is. Like, what's the point? You already have a billion sperm out. Why? Just go ahead and use what you have. Use what you have. But first, do the right thing. Freeze your sperm, get a vasectomy. And like I said, this is the end of the video. And again, I want to thank you for your time, your attention. I really appreciate it. Please go ahead and like this video. I appreciate all the support. I'm still trying to get my head around saying like the video. Please indicate your approval by hitting the like button. I haven't got the script right, but I'll get it. It'll come to me, right? Please share this video if you are so inclined with somebody that you think would want to join our conversation, be part of our conversation. And then, of course, if you also like to remain part of the conversation, please leave a comment and I will happily respond to as many and if all the comments that I can. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, and I'd like to thank you again for sharing your time with me, and I'd like to wish you a wonderful, ecstatic, and amazing day.